Hey, it's Dr. Joe. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Your Wellness for Life. I'm from Atlanta. Hope you had a great day. How do you celebrate Wednesday? Is it a Wellness Wednesday for you? You had that extra serving of broccoli or spinach today? You went for that extra jog today? Or did you practice Wealth Wednesday? That's a good one, where you do an act of kindness to a stranger involving a financial exchange. That'd be a good one. We need a lot more kindness going on right now. That's what this world needs. More kindness, more love. Anyway, so last night I talked about seasonal affective disorder, and I was going to tie that into tonight's topic. And tonight's topic is don't let S.A.D, seasonal affective disorder, fuel your negative self-talk. Again, I'm Dr. Joe from Atlanta. Welcome to Your Wellness for Life. We talk about all the different components of wellness, which is a state of being, and health is just one of them. So what is, to get this connection here, I need to kind of redefine S.A.D, what it is, and then what is negative self-talk, and then what are some strategies that you could employ to help with negative self-talk and get you heading in a more positive direction. So S.A.D stands for seasonal affective disorder. Give you a few little sound bites on it. It affects about 10% of us. The peak age or the average age is 23, so it kind of strikes younger folks, 18 to 30, and a lot of them are struggling to find jobs. So if you can't find a job, or you've been unemployed, or laid off, that certainly can compound seasonal affective disorder. We see it mostly in the winter months, where the nights are longer and the days are shorter. Has to do with sunlight. And there's a few things that have been linked to that, like lower serotonin levels. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. Also lower melatonin levels. Melatonin is the sleep and mood hormone. And also lower vitamin D levels. And January happens to be the most depressed month of the year. And therein lies the significance between don't let S.A.D fuel your negative self-talk. People that have a family history of mental health disorders are also at increased risk for S.A.D, and that would be specifically depression. And we see it 4 times more frequently in women than in men. All right. So what is now negative self-talk? Negative self-talk, and let me back up a little bit. Self-talk, there's actually 4 types of self-talk: instructional, motivational, positive, and negative. So we're going to focus on negative self-talk because it can lead to depression. And now we're in January. You can see how January and the depressive tendencies of these longer nights and shorter days could fuel the negative self-talk. And negative self-talk is that little voice inside that says, you know, you're not good enough, you're not rich enough, you're not fast enough, you're not tall enough, you're not good looking enough, you're not this or that. You know, that little voice, that little nagging voice, almost like a critical parent that tells you, you can't do this or can't do that. And so that's what negative self-talk is. And so what are some ways, some strategies to undo this negative self-talk? Because we're living in a world now, and I don't want to get too political here, but what else can we have thrown at us? We got a pandemic and recent election, and a lot of people are unhappy, and a lot of people are being told that they don't even belong. They're just, so I'm sure there's a lot of negative self-talk going on in their minds. So let me give you about, I got 11 strategies how to minimize negative self-talk and get you heading into a more positive self-talk. So number 1, catch your critic. Learn to notice when you're being self-critical so you can begin to stop. For example, when you say things to yourself that you wouldn't say to a good friend or a child, you got to catch yourself and recognize that. Number 2, remember that thoughts and feelings aren't always reality. They're actually, most of the time, not even accurate information. You're not this, you're not that. You're not fast enough, you're not smart enough, is it really true? So you got to catch yourself and ask yourself, is this really accurate that you're thinking about in your mind. Number 3, this is kind of a cute one. Give your inner critic a nickname. I should call mine Little Joey. When little Joey shows up and says, you can't do this, you can't do that, or you're just not fast enough, smart enough, whatever it is, there goes little Joey again, telling me you can't do something. So when you think of your inner critic as a force outside of yourself, and even give it a goofy nickname, it's not only more easy to realize that you don't have to agree, but it becomes less threatening. Number 4, contain your negativity. My wife is great at doing this to me. I just start spewing a bunch of negative stuff and whatever it might be. And she did this to me the other night. She said, "That's the last thing you're going to say, and then we're going to end it right there." You got to do that sometimes, because sometimes people just kind of spiral into this negative self-talk and they just can't get themselves out of it. And if you don't have someone wise around you to do that, you need to kind of put a time limit to it. Maybe you need to put a timer on it and say, okay, after about 10 minutes of negative self-talk, I'm going to end it. Number 5, change negativity to neutrality. You may not be able to switch it all the way to positivity, but at least get it to neutral to get out of the negative thing. So, for example, instead of saying, I hate this or I hate that, just switch it to I don't like that. That already makes it a little bit more palatable and not quite so negative. Or change from I can't stand this to this is challenging. So change negativity to neutrality. Number 6, cross-examine your inner critic. Don't let it go unchallenged. It's far better to catch your negative self-talk and ask yourself how true it is. The vast majority of negative self-talk is an exaggeration, and it's probably not even true. So cross-examine your inner critic and don't let it go unchallenged. Challenge it. Number 7, think like a friend. So we'll say things to ourselves in our heads that we'd never say to a friend or to a loved one. So make it a point to imagine yourself saying this to a treasured friend, and maybe that'll put an end to the negative self-talk. And number 8, shift your perspective. Don't, there's this concept of should I be thinking short-term, long-term? You got to think both, short-term, long-term. But sometimes if all you're doing is thinking short-term and it's negative, you need to get out of that. And maybe you need to start thinking more in terms of long-term and ask yourself if something you're upset about will really matter an hour from now or a day from now or a week from now. Probably not, so let it go. Number 9, say it aloud or maybe even write it down. So telling a trusted friend or writing it down, maybe keeping a journal, what you're thinking about can often lead to a good laugh. And you may realize how ridiculous your negative self-thought is. Number 10, stop that thought. Now that sounds, easier said than done. It's called thought stopping, and take the form of snapping a rubber band on your wrist. Now, some of you remember Larry Hagman many years ago. It's probably 30 years ago. Now, I Dream of Jeannie, and he was JR on Dallas. Larry Hagman would have a rubber band on his wrist, and I think they used him as a commercial, and you would snap, if you were craving that cigarette, you would snap that rubber band, and it would, remind you that you're not supposed to be smoking. So maybe we needed one of those rubber band things, just like Larry Hagman had for our negative thoughts, and put an end to that and snap that rubber band. Or maybe visualize a stop sign or simply changing to another thought when a negative one enters your mind. So, and then 11, last one is replace the bad with some good. Take a negative thought, change it to something encouraging that's also accurate. So those are 11 strategies to kind of get out of negative self-talk. We are in January. We're almost halfway through it, and I can sense, and I'm sure you can sense too, that the days are getting longer, nights are getting shorter. December 22nd is the longest night or shortest day of the year, and we're now halfway through January, and we'll get out of this mess. So don't let seasonal affective disorder, which strikes primarily in January, fuel your negative self-talk. Let me just run through them again. I'm Dr. Joe from Atlanta. Welcome to Your Wellness for Life. And this is strategies on how to minimize negative self-talk. Number 1, catch your critic. Number 2, remember that thoughts and feelings aren't always reality. Number 3, give your inner critic a nickname. Number 4, contain your negativity, put a time limit to it. Number 5, change negativity to neutrality. Number 6, cross-examine your inner critic. Don't let it go unattended or unchallenged. And number 7, think like a friend. You would never say the things that you think sometimes to a friend or loved one. Number 8, shift your perspective. Number 9, say it aloud or write it down. Keep a journal. Number 10, stop that thought. And number 11, replace that bad with some good. So those are the 11 strategies. I'm Dr. Joe, and we'll catch you all tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, and get some rest, and we'll catch you all later. Bye.